Hey buddy, how are you?
Good to see you, mate. It's
Yeah,
it's been too long.
yeah, the hair's growing, mate.
Yeah, it's coming back nicely for an old bloke. So it's not.
It's good to see you, mate. Good to see you.
It is. It's always good seeing. It's always on the back of something wonderful. So last time we caught up was down under, and hopefully we'll get to see you down again. But it's all happening for you at the minute. One of my favourite bands of years gone by, Teenage Casket Company. The reunion show. Let's get that one out of the way first. That must be nice to do that anniversary, 20 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really fun night actually. It's next Friday. So I don't know when this is going out, but October 24th. And we actually did a kind of like a one-off reunion a couple of years ago just for just a little bit of fun. And then it was sort of brought to our attention that Dial It Up was 20 years old, which none of us could believe that at all. It was just ridiculous to think that's 20 years old, you know. But yeah, it was. I can't remember whose idea it was to do it, but we said, it'll be real. It'll just be a fun night, and we're doing the full album from start to finish. So it's been really interesting because we've not played some of those songs for about like 18, 19 years. So it's
Yeah.
we've all had to go back and do our homework, and so we're doing the full album, but then we're going to be playing a ton more songs as well. We're doing like a 16, 17 song set list, and we've got some cool merch. Our bass player Rob Lane's put together kind of like an old school, almost like a
Program.
like a,
Yeah.
a tour program. Yeah, with all we delved through all our old photos from back in like 2005 and 2006 and put all those in there. So it's going to be a really fun night, and we're just hoping. The last time we did one of these shows, we had people come down that we hadn't seen in
Yeah.
like such a long time, and it was so weird because a lot of back then we had a lot of like teenage fans, who were kind of like 15, 16, and then they come back and they're all grown up and they've got kids and and it's really weird. So we're hoping that they're going to be coming out again. It's just like a one-off thing again. It's not, the band's not. We're all way too busy. Honestly, just trying to get rehearsals booked between four guys with how
Yeah.
busy we all are has just been a mission in itself. But it's going to be fun, mate. We're looking
Oh,
forward to it.
it will be because that's sort of like my introduction to you as a songwriter. I guess many years ago, Laney sent me a couple of albums by the Erotics, and he put in the Teenage Casket Company album there just for me to have a listen to, and I've sort of followed you ever since. A bit like a Nottingham born but now overseas stalker, stalking your career.
That's good.
So, but I don't know. Every time I talk to you, it seems like I'm saying that, hey, Rob, this is the best yet. Surely, bite the bullet. I absolutely loved In at the Deep End. I think that at the time was my favorite album. But listening to this for a month now, Bite the Bullet is, I think, the most consistently brilliant album that you've put out. There's not a moment on there that I don't love, and
Oh, that's awesome.
and it doesn't happen to me very often, so I've got to tell you. But some great singles you've released, but that not. And I know you've got another single. I don't know if that's public knowledge coming out on the 21st, but
Yeah,
so this will probably. I'm going to try and get this one out as soon as I can. But
great.
the 21st, the next single you've got coming out is one of my favorite on the album.
Yeah, we've actually got another we've got two coming out actually. We've got When the Summer Ends, which is going to be coming out on Halloween, October 31st. So we shot a video for that a while ago. And then the third single is going to be released on the 21st of November, which is Seeing is Believing, which is one of the big ballads on the album. So
You
yeah,
all,
so
yeah, you always do a great ballad, and that to me is one of your best.
oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's been we're so happy with this album. I've got to be honest, it was really tough following the last one. And I was like, to be honest, under quite a bit of pressure to like to follow it up because when we started, even started thinking about this new album, I was like, I think we've always set the bar pretty high, but that
Yeah,
last album was, and it did really well for us. I think that was like a joint best-selling album, and we did more touring on the back of that album
yeah,
than any other because it was just people just loved it so much, and it's kind of weird because um there was so many people on that album that had thought we were a new band, and they were just kind of, oh, what we thought this was like a new band and a new and then I was like, well, yeah, we've been around a while. It's coming up to, it's like eight years or whatever, and there's three other albums before this, but there was something about the sound of that last album, and I think a lot of that was due to working with Chris Laney, who mixed it.
yeah.
That it was so 80s that it was like, so trying to, follow that up with this album wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but I think we've managed to we once again step it up, and
Yeah.
I think the songs are great, and I just think the actual sound of the album, I think it's our biggest
Oh, it sounds
sounding album that
fantastic.
we've
I
ever
mean,
done.
the keyboards and the use of guitars on this album are absolutely fantastic. And some of Miles' solos, they're
Yeah.
they're so good. Like they're absolutely dripping 80s. It's like I always use, I mean, it's a very sad day today, passing of Ace Frehley, who was
Yeah.
my ultimate guitar hero when I was a kid growing up. And I know you're a big Kiss fan, probably more of
Oh yeah.
the sort of like 80s sound, but what a loss. What a great guy. I've been lucky enough to talk to him a number of times over the years, and he's always been so funny and like such a
Oh.
great guy.
Yeah, it's really sad. I never got to meet him, unfortunately, but it just, I mean, a legendary. I mean, how many guitar players did that guy influence?
Yeah.
You talk about 80s rock guitar players. I've been on Instagram this morning, whether it's,
Mm.
everybody was influenced by Ace Frehley. I mean, that was everybody's first sort of favorite guitar player, wasn't it?
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, it's very, very sad, very sad.
absolutely. You used to have the solo album cover on my back of my denim jacket. They painted
Oh,
that on
awesome.
there. I've
Yeah.
still got it somewhere, but I've just got to get it out of the attic or wherever it's living. But yeah, what a I mean, I don't know. I'm speechless. It's one of the losses I think that's affected me more than any other,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. And it,
yeah, because it
so
was so much of a part of my growing up that it's crazy.
Yeah, and we also lost Ace Fincham as well from
Yeah.
Tiger Tales, which was that was a big blow for me. Being in
Mm.
that band for 10 years, and I was quite close with Ace. So
Mm.
two Aces have left us sort of
That's
within
right.
a week. It's very
And
very sad.
yeah, and Ace was lovely as well. I mean, I never did like a formal interview with him, but I sort of met him way back in the days when Pepsi was still alive and the original Tiger Tails were playing at Rock City and places like that. We'd always catch up with those guys when they came over. But he was the one member, I must admit, who I sort of like every now and again we exchange messages and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
both big shocks.
yeah, yeah,
It's awful, but yeah, fifth time's the charm. The biggest and best Midnite City. I just can't believe I say
yeah.
this every time. So many people release a new album and say, yeah, it's the best thing we've ever done, the best thing we've ever done. I sit there and go, yeah, is it really? I mean, it's good, it's
Yeah.
got its moments, but you guys are the exception to the rule. This just gets better and better. I just play it to people and they go, "Who the hell are these guys? They must be one of the biggest bands of the 80s." But
Oh, that's a great compliment, mate. Yeah, I mean I mean that's the whole point of the, as has always been with the band is we have no interest in sounding like a modern day contemporary band at all. We just want to sound like a band from 1988, and everybody on the album, the rest of the guys really like Miles's solos, like you said, incredible. Everybody's just been, at the top of their game on this album,
yeah.
and it's just we're so happy with it. We really are.
It is beautifully mixed though and produced because the bass and drums both sound fantastic. Often that's a sort of bugbear of mine,
Yeah, me too.
being a really bad bassist from many years ago. But I always listen for the bass, and the bass sounds great. Drums sound great, and when you get on to, like I said, just some of the flourishes and the use of keyboards are fantastic. There's some almost journey-like moments on there later in as you sort of
Yeah.
get through there, and I love those songs as well. But because this, I reckon, is probably going to be very close, if not my album of the year. I just want to do something I don't usually do and just go through a track by track, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah,
If you
yeah.
got time.
Yeah.
Classic opener, live it like you mean it. I mean, that's the sort of fist pumping action that Poison and Co were like putting out. I love the wonderful guitar that opens it, and it's just perfect. It's like the one thing that any fan of the band is going to put that on and go, "Yep, these guys have done it again."
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
did that come from?
Well, that actually, I think that was actually the first song I wrote for the new album, and it was kind of cool, really, because sometimes, not always, you write a song, you're not sure whereabouts it's going to go on the album, but I knew as soon as I wrote it, that's got to be the opening song on the album. And the actual talking about Kiss, the actual guitar riff,
Yeah,
that's very kind of Paul Stanley solo album riff
yeah.
style. If you go back and listen to, like Tonight
You
You
belong
Belong
to
to
me.
Me,
Yeah,
it's got that kind of a little bit of a Kiss vibe going on
yeah,
there, and
yeah.
then it just explodes into this just monstrous song. And then Sean put the kind of almost like this Bon Jovi Social
Mm.
Disease keys on top, which sometimes is we have this conversation quite a bit that obviously when we do our more sort of AOR melodic rock stuff, there's a lot more kind of room to add the keys. But sometimes when the heavier the song, it's not always that easy to come up with keyboard parts,
Yeah, yeah.
But he added so much to it. We've got Miles on the. He's actually using the ray gun, which is, I don't know if
Okay.
you remember the Vince
Yeah,
Neil
yeah,
solo album where he's just using it all the way through. And Miles just came up to me ages ago and said, "Oh, I've got this idea about using some on the album." And I was like, let's just do it. So he's using that, and the rest of the guys are just solid as a rock on it. And it's just it's very kind of I think we've always had that kind of mix, and which I think is really cool because I don't think a lot of bands like do what we do, as in they're either like a full-on sleaze band or
yeah,
they're a full-on AOR band. And I think that's always why we always get that Danger Danger comparison
yeah,
every
yeah,
time, because there are moments when it is sleazier and kind of heavier, and then we've got the real kind of almost like AOR, like you said, a bit of Journey, some Journey moments, and but that's definitely one of the kind of more kind of like Poison,
yeah,
first album Skid Row type songs. We've got another thing we've used a hell of a lot on this album is we've really overblown it with gang vocals. So
yeah.
there's
And
basically us all standing around the mic and singing the same thing about 100 times to get
that.
this, like, like 100 voices doing the same thing. So
Yeah, and I mean, that again is another one of those little things in there that just stands out for me as well, and like it really gives an extra texture to the song as well. And I tried not to use Danger Danger in the review because I've got the review done, obviously waiting to go, but I couldn't. There was one point where I thought, because we both loved the band so much, there was just one song. I think it was Running Back to Your Heart from memory.
yeah,
That I
yeah,
thought, yeah, that's the moment. But you make it your own, and I think that's the thing about Midnight City. I loved Worth Fighting For, the second track, when I first heard that. That is so melodic, and it was that one where I thought, geez, I hope there's more solos like this, because he absolutely Miles nails the
yeah,
solo on that one, and it just, for me, a great solo just adds another dimension to a song.
yeah. Oh
Did
yeah,
you remember the solo? I was I posted something about when Ace passed earlier today, and the one cassette tape that I've got from years and years ago is I painstakingly recorded the solos from all of the vinyl Kiss albums that I had up to Killers.
Awesome.
And I've just got that tape, and you can stop it at any moment. I tried it today when I found it. You stop it at any moment. I can tell you what song that solo was from, and I reckon I can
Yeah,
do that on this album as well. It's such feel good rock and roll. For me, it's what the 80s was all about. It was doesn't matter how shit the day job is. It's the weekend. Let's go out and see a band and have a great time. And for
yeah.
me, songs like "Worth Fighting For" sum that up. Where was that an early song as well?
Yeah, that was quite early as well. And it was, I think that was actually, it's certainly second or third song I wrote for the album. And that was kind of, more of the kind of, I wouldn't say full on AOR, but it's a little bit more in that direction. Um, yeah, the song is actually the song lyrically was about sort of how, we sort of live in this sort of world at the minute where everything has to be instant and we live in this ridiculously fast-paced world where I think sometimes it's very easy to give up on things and think that things are better elsewhere. And sometimes you just got to realize that stop what you're doing and kind of realize that what you've got going is great, and not always be living in this kind of world where you're sort of comparing yourself with other people on social media and all that crap. So that's kind of where that one came lyrically from. Um, and I mean, when we recorded it, I mean, talking about Miles's solos, I mean, we just kind of let him do what he wants to do, and one of the great things about Miles that I've always said right from the beginning is Miles, I mean, can obviously shred like there's no tomorrow. I mean, he's an incredible lead guitar player. But the great thing with Miles is that he also knows when to shred and show off, and then when to play something that's really simple but really, really melodic. Like just off the top of my head, like Winger's Miles Away solo, for example,
Yeah.
so simple but it's knowing when to play and when not to overplay sort of thing. And Miles has always been great at that. And that was tough because when we were trying to come up with single choices, I mean, it was really difficult because there's so many. I mean, if we had another two or three singles, that would definitely be one of them. And I remember the guy that I was the engineer that worked on the album. Um, we were just finishing everything off before it was sent off to Chris Laney to mix, and that was his favorite song on the entire album. He worked with me doing the vocals for a couple of weeks, and that was his favorite song on the album as well. So if there'd been a third, sorry, a fourth single, that probably would have been it.
Yeah.
So you never know, there might be. We might end up doing another one.
Well, I hope so.
Uh,
I mean, it is one of those albums where, like, I could quite happily go and see you live, and if you just played everything from this album, I'd be more than happy. And you can never say that about a band, can you? But I said that about
Not
In the
really.
Deep End as well. It's fantastic stuff.
Right.
First big ballad comes with "It's Gonna Be All Right," and you just do it so well. I honestly don't know how you do it. Like, out of all of my favorite songwriters of the last, let's say, 20 years, I reckon I've got a few, but you're on the list. People
Oh,
like
it's
you
amazing, man.
and Paul Lane and guys like that are just can create a song that just drips with emotion. And I think that's the good thing about your ballads. There's soaring melodies on that song. It's but it's not that bad. It's a wonderful song. It's not my favorite ballad though on the
Yeah.
album, which is crazy. There's so few bands who are not afraid to do more than one slower number on an album these days.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean we're total old school in that respect, and I think we still think in that way. And the cool thing is this album is actually coming out on vinyl as well, and we still very much think in that old school way of I mean, my entire life still revolves around wishing it was 1988. So everything that we do is sort of is
Yeah.
based around that. As in, all my favorite albums would have a ballad on side one and a ballad on side two.
Mm.
pretty much, not all of them, but a lot of them did, and yeah, I mean, the last album we actually had three ballads on
Great.
the last
Yeah.
album. So
Mm.
and there is a song actually we'll get to later on when we get later down the track listing where I said, yeah, I think two's enough. We can't have a third ballad on the album. So but
Yep.
yeah, I think it's going to be all right. So just a really I love that song. It's so like super super melodic.
Yeah.
And it's talking about the songs and the songwriting and everything, and I've always said that I've had the best teachers
Mm.
to teach me how to write all these songs, whether it be Desmond Child, who's obviously my number one songwriting idol, or Diane Warren or Mutt Lang, and then you know Stephen Bruno from Danger, Bon Jovi, I mean, Janie Lane, the list goes on and on. But when you've had so many incredible songwriters to kind of learn from,
Mm.
it just, obviously it's not easy to write these songs, but at the same time, a lot of it's up here from,
Yeah.
all the years of listening to it, and soaking it all in and,
And
getting something from it all.
yeah, and some bands try it and it just sounds like they're trying to be something. Whereas I think the good thing about Midnight City is it sounds like Midnight City.
Yeah.
It's new, it's fresh, and even though it's got that massive 80s vibe, it's new stuff. It's stuff I always think of it as this is stuff that would have been in the top 10 if we'd gone back to 1988, like
Oh,
you quite rightly
yeah.
said. The single "Heaven in This Hell," I love. I love the keyboard opening and the way it sort of like slowly crawls into that gang vocal. But it wouldn't have been my first choice of single, and that I think is the beauty of the album. Is like every time I listen to it, I've got a new favorite. So at the moment, it's one of the later songs, but "Heaven in This Hell" is like, I mean, the massive positive feedback from the fans must have been a good sign that the album's going to go down pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. It wasn't really an obvious single choice.
Mm,
But I think the reason we went with it was because on the last album we had because what we try and do because I mean, a lot of bands don't do this. A lot of bands will just put the typical Frontiers one single and then you're done, But we've always insisted with every album, and we've done this on every album apart from the first one. But we've always done three singles and three videos off every single album.
mm,
So what we try and do is try and mix up the styles. So we could easily do, say, for example, release three sort of very similar sort of AOR type songs or three heavier songs. So we try and kind of mix it up with the three that we've chosen, with Heaven in This Hell being first, and then the second one, which is coming out on Halloween, which is a real classic sort of probably what you would expect to
yeah,
be our first single, which is coming up next. Um, so you have the heavier song, the real pop metal song, and then a ballad. So but yeah, we were kind of it wasn't the obvious choice, but when we were listening to it back, we were just kind of like, this sounds really, I think this is going to catch people's attention maybe a little bit more than something that was maybe a little bit more obvious
yeah.
for us
It's
to
it,
release.
I mean, it's a great song to me. It reminds me of Bon Jovi, who you've mentioned before. It could I could almost hear John Bon Jovi singing this one. So
Yeah, yeah, total. I mean, that was, those first four albums were absolutely massive
mm,
for us as a band. And also this is actually for the songwriters out there. This is actually quite a It doesn't sound like it's a complex song, but there's actually five key changes in the
oh
song,
wow,
which was actually very much at the time. I when I was writing the songs. One of the albums I'd gone back to listening to that I absolutely loved when I was a teenager was Kane Roberts' Saints and
yeah,
Sinners.
yeah,
And I've been listening to that album to death. And I was really sort of, because you have to get inspiration from obviously when you're doing the same style of music
mm,
and you're on album five now, you've got to still find some different kind of influences from somewhere. So I was really studying that album and and realizing how many key changes are in a lot of those songs on that album. And I've done it quite a lot on this album, but none more so on than on the on Heaven in This House. So it's actually unintentionally. I don't know how it happened, but it's an unintentionally clever song. Yeah, and the reaction to it has been amazing. So people, we it's kind of like I said earlier, kind of maybe caught a couple of people off guard.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly what they expected, but now in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to give them exactly what they expect with the next one. So
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it. It's not you're not a band like AC/DC that's making the same album again and again and again.
yeah,
It's that there are you can sense, especially in at the deep end in this album, that the boundaries are getting pushed out a bit there. I mean, you've got a 5 minute song
yeah,
for
yeah,
for
yeah,
hey, wow, that breaks all the rules. Um,
yeah, yeah. It does.
one, one of my immediate favorites was the next one, Running Back to Your Heart, which is that, for me, it's that sort of like Danger, Danger, Trickster sort of moment that is so incredibly smooth, sleek, chart topping type rock. It's got its all like the drums, the bass, everything sounds wonderful. The keyboards are great. And it's another great vocal from you and a great solo from Miles.
Yeah,
People
that's
are gonna love that one.
yeah, yeah. I mean, again, that would possibly be another single as well if there was more time to do one.
Mm. Mm.
It was a bit of a, like I said, it was a bit of a tough decision to kind of pick which ones. But what we're gonna try and do on this album is make sure that people hear all of the songs somehow, even if
Mm.
we're doing kind of not necessarily lyric videos, but because a lot of people, if you're not going to necessarily be aware of the band or buy the album, you just be aware of the three singles, and there's so many other songs, like you said, that we want people to hear as well. So, and this is like to me, this is like an absolute sort of classic Midnite City song that almost sounds like it could have come off the first album.
Yeah.
It's got that kind of it's kind of I think what we do a lot of different things and slightly different styles here and there. But I always think we're at our best when we do this kind of stuff. I think we're at our strongest,
Yeah.
really.
It's just so
And
much fun. It's like such a fun song to listen to. And
yeah,
Lethal Dose of Love that follows it as well, I guess, is a bit it's sort of like dirtier. There's some lovely guitar on there with um and I put it down as an inescapably sing-along moment. So I was
yeah,
I was singing because I was on my own, I was singing along to this one. So
brilliant.
it was
Yeah,
brilliant.
this is one of those kind of songs that is intentionally. I just came up with a song title and I thought, what that's such a. I mean, you could say a cheesy song title. Of course, it
Yeah.
is. The whole album's cheesy, but that's all our favorite music's cheesy. So
But
we're
yeah.
not.
And
Who cares?
you can take a cheesy lyric and make it sound meaningful, and that's the art.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
art of
this
what you
is.
do.
That's it. Yeah, this is kind of more along the lines of Live Like You Mean It, the first song on the album. So it's got a lot more
Mm.
attitude. It's a more of a kind of a glammy, more sleazier song,
Yeah.
and again, shows a different. We've just come from Running Back to Your Heart, which is kind of more of the typical kind of AOR melodic rock sound that we usually have, and then straight onto the opening track on side two, and
Mm.
it's almost a little bit again a little bit first album Skid Row, and it's got that kind of cockiness to it, which I think is cool to put in every now and then, and I think the chorus on this is just great. We had such a good time doing the gang vocals on this one. It was
I
great.
can imagine. You could have got me
Yeah.
in there as
Oh
well.
yeah, we needed more voices. So it was basically I think it was four of us that did it, but because we needed more voices, we just kept up doing it and doing it. And I think in the end it was something ridiculous, like the lethal dose of love line. I think there's about 80 voices doing that.
Oh
It was
wow,
something stupid like that. Yeah, yeah.
that's
So
crazy.
yeah.
The one that mystified me, and always all these short tracks, I guess, sort of sometimes mystify me. where does the Archer song come from? It's
Well,
just
that
like a
one.
gentle sort of piece, I guess an interlude almost.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about
Mm,
having two ballads on the album, and
mm,
we were pretty much um, we pretty much actually recorded the album. We were getting right to the end of the recording process, and Sean sent me this idea. So Sean wrote that piece of music. And he said, what do you think of this? And I said, it's amazing. It sounds so, I absolutely love it. But there's no, I think he was sending it me, with the intention of us maybe writing a song around it. And I said, "Dude, we can't put another ballad on. You got two ballads. It's only 10 tracks on the album. I know we got the Japanese bonus track, but,
yeah.
and again, we got to think about nowadays when you're thinking about vinyl, you know, depending on the length of the songs, you can't have like six on each side. It is pretty much kind of five back to the old school
Yeah.
five on each side. So I said I just don't think there's room for another ballad, and especially like I said, last album had three ballads on it, and I kind of like I sort of made the decision that we needed to kind of just keep it at two, but I said, but we need to put that somewhere on the album. And again, a lot of bands used to do this back in the day. From I remember do you remember that Soraya album, the debut
Yes. Yeah.
Soraya
Yeah.
album? And
That's
they had
exactly
that,
what I thought of. Yeah. When I
yeah, they had that
heard it.
piano piece.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Alsace Lorraine, I think it was called,
Yeah.
about a minute and a half long, and then it kicks into whatever song comes next. And Danger Danger did that, I think, on the Screw It album. They had a little sort of acoustic sort of piece going into Beat the Bullet, I think, and a lot of bands did that. So I just said, why don't you just record it, and we'll place it nicely, so it goes into, you know and we tried to kind of work out which song it would be best sort of going into. Yeah, it was just too good a piece of music not to use. So
Mm.
and that's actually named after, he's got a little boy, so that's his
Yeah.
son. So that's Archer. So that's why it's Archer's song.
Cool. And it goes into my favorite ballad on the album, which I think is one of Midnight City's best ballads. One of my favorite ballads, at least. Seeing is believing.
Oh, great, mate.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, yeah, that's one of my, that's probably, I'd say it's tricky, but I would say that's definitely that's probably my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it
If
is
not,
mine at the
if
minute. Yeah.
yeah, if not, one of the two or three. But yeah, that one actually was written pretty much close to. That was one of the last songs I wrote for the album, and yeah, it was kind of. I was inspired by a lot of kind of what we are talking about earlier on about it's a similar kind of theme to it's gonna be all right, and worth fighting for, as in, just kind of, you know uh live in the moment a little bit more and appreciate what you've got nowadays, rather than, everybody's always chasing everything. It's just kind of just enjoy the moment and live in it for a while, and that's kind of what that song's sort of about. And I think we just did a really good job of recording that one. I think the whole thing just, again, like you were saying, just sounds like it could have been on an album, from back in 88, 89, and that's going to be the third and final, well, maybe not final, but the third single and video, which is
And,
coming out on November 21st.
and it's beautifully expanded as well. Longest song on the album, which and the instrumentation again is absolutely fantastic. But it doesn't stop. Like sometimes you sit there with an album, you wait for the filler track to come. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't on this one. So no
Oh,
one
that's good
wins.
to hear.
No one wins the sort of like bittersweet breakup song. Uh, is
Yeah.
the one that I think sort of like has a bit of journey. There's another song that's got a bit of journey in there as well, but to me that's sort of like got a bit of a journey feel to it, and simply soars um, with those backing vocals as well. But Miles is probably my favorite solo, I think, of the entire album. That's
Awesome.
sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that's a real again, that was actually I think that was the final song written for the album, if I remember rightly. It was Seeing is Believing, and then finished off with No One Wins. And that's got yeah, it's got all the classic chords that I like to use. Because a lot of songwriters have those, those chord progressions, and I know I use them quite a lot, but that's kind of my sort of thing. And it's in that um, kind of that sweet spot, especially for me singing.
Yeah.
There's a certain key where it's like it's just right for where I think I sing best.
Mm.
Um, like I said, Miles's solo's killer on it. The keys on it are great. The whole thing, that's like a real kind of high energy song as well. It's got it's got I think a little bit of the power pop thing about it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that, that
Hints of TCC maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Definitely.
definitely.
But
Especially the
but
intro. The intro is
yes. Yeah.
very TCC. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And then just when you think can't get any better, you end up with two bangers. Hang on till tomorrow with that sort of like chugging riff and keyboard lace chorus is another absolute classic. No one does it. I'd be prepared to say if someone listens to this song when they get the album, it's gonna be a lot of people's favorites as well, I think.
Oh, great, man. Yeah.
No one does this type of music as well as you guys. Where did that one come from?
That's actually the kind of the more sort of serious song on the album, and it was actually, well, lyrically
Hmm.
it was actually about actually like a close family member who was having a really tough time, and it's kind of and I don't want to get too serious because
Yeah.
we're talking about a Midnite City album after all, but it was kind of like a like an anti-suicide song,
Hmm.
and something, I think a lot of people are going through stuff in their
Yeah.
lives, but there's always, it's kind of saying, there's always help out there. There's always people to talk to. There's always a way through,
Yeah.
your dark days, and that's kind of like the underlining message in it. How you're feeling at this moment in time is not how you're always going to feel. It's, and you will get through it. And that's kind of, for us was quite, I don't usually, there was a song actually similar to that on the There Goes the Neighbourhood album called Takes One to Know One, which was kind of written about a similar kind of, subject matter. But thankfully, the person I'm talking about is doing a lot better these days, and is doing great. But yeah, it was kind of something that was going on in my life, and it was something that was kind of affecting me quite a bit. So it was kind of quite therapeutic to kind of
Yeah.
to kind of write about that,
That's
and
a
they've
good.
actually heard the song, and they kind of like put two and two together and said, "Oh, is this about?" So so hopefully, I mean, if it helps some other people as well, that
Yeah.
would be great.
I don't know. It's superlative the quality control that you guys must put these songs through. Were there many left over, or do you pretty much write for the album?
Yeah, pretty much right for the album. Yeah, yeah. A few people have actually asked that, and I think, yeah, we kind of pretty much just, when I'm writing songs, and even if I get to kind of a chorus that I just think is okay,
Yeah.
then it gets
Yeah.
scrapped. Where I guess a lot of bands would just finish record, maybe even demo it, but to me, I think, and we as a band have such a high, they set the bar so high that songs need to be, you just know if they're going to make it onto an album or not, and if I'm messing around with an idea that I don't think's actually working, I just throw it in the bin, really.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I was just trying to think. I think there might have been one song that I think there might have been one song that was kind of not quite finished, that I was like, I'm not sure about, but pretty much it's just right for the album,
No,
and it's
you.
kind of always been like that, really. From a couple of the a couple of the earlier albums, we had some leftover songs which ended up being bonus tracks on some of the reissue things we did a few years ago. So there was a couple of those tracks that were left over, but for the most part, just kind of written for the album.
I always find it's interesting because sometimes when you talk to a songwriter, they'll say, "Yeah, I just keep everything," and then a year later they'll find a tape in a drawer, or in the case of I think once one of my early interviews with Mike Tramp, he said he had like a whole box full of old ideas that were like 10, 20
Yeah,
years old, and he'll come back and he'll play them and hear something that maybe he didn't hear the first time around or something like that and revisit it. But I know you've always told me that that's not the case with you. If it doesn't click within a few seconds, then it's gone.
yeah. I think that's again that thing of that old school way of thinking, as in unless it's
Yeah.
catching my attention and making me feel,
Yeah.
oh, this is great, then if that I'm not getting that from it, then nobody else is going to get it.
No, because
So that's sort of the way I think,
yeah,
you know.
Nuno was exactly the same as you. When I talked to Nuno from Extreme, he's saying if it doesn't like immediately grab my attention, then it's gone, and I'll never revisit it again. So
Absolutely, yeah,
it's
yeah,
and I think that's the thing. You play some of the songs on this album, and you think, yeah, that's. I mean, there's not a song on there that didn't grab me from the off, and it's not often I'll go through a whole album and think, yeah, there's not one unessential song on here. And a closer, When the Summer Ends, the second single, which I think is the one that's out either the 21st or 31st, I can't remember. It's
31st, yeah.
that to me, that's as good as Journey in their prime.
Wow.
I
That's
big
that's
big
that's a compliment.
a big Journey fan, but that's got everything in there as well, and everyone comes to the party again. It's just a beautiful song, and I love the way it builds through that sort of pre-chorus to the chorus as well. That's one of the things I think I most like about it, the fact that it just grows, and every time you come back to that one, it you've got to close an album with something like that, haven't you? Something that
Yeah.
you're not going to forget.
Absolutely, and it was that again when we started at the beginning with the
Mm.
Live Like You Mean It. I knew that that was going to be the first song on the album, and then the same thing happened with When the Summer Ends. I'm like, this is a perfect way to kind of bookmark the album and kind of almost, hopefully get people as soon as that song finishes, let's listen to it again. And it's just the ultimate feel good Midnite
Yeah.
City song. Sean came up with the really cool kind of Van Halen-y keyboard intro actually
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
my original demo just kind of goes straight into the song. But he said, you know what, I got this sort of idea of just using the chords. What do you think? And we all, he said it sounds great. So
It does. Yeah, it
and
really
it's
adds another dimension to it, definitely. What an
yeah,
album!
and it's
Five albums in, Midnight City's best yet, and not only that, big year for you. You've already got the tour I see booked for end of November. That's with
yeah.
Wild Street, the Eric, is that Eric's band from the
Yeah,
States?
Eric from New York. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're doing five back-to-back dates over here in November, starting on the 26th. And then we always do a Christmas show in Sheffield. That's I think December the 20th this year. And then next year we've already announced a bunch of festivals. One of them we're really excited, especially about is that we're doing Malmo Melodic out in
Yeah,
Sweden,
that,
which is
that
going to be
lineup
really
looks
cool.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And then we got some other stu festivals in the UK, and we're on with booking stuff for next year as we speak. So we're going to be as busy as possible next year, and fingers crossed we can.
Well,
Hopefully, we can get back to Australia. That'd be nice,
I was going to say, if you get any Japanese dates penciled in, yeah, let's talk and see what we can do. Because
That'd be great.
it
Yeah, I mean
will,
Japan would be great to go back to as well. We'll see what
mm,
happens with that, but we're
mm,
definitely working on stuff as we speak. So
yeah,
yeah,
and before all that, we've got Teenage Casket Company back to celebrate 20 years. Can you believe it? Where's the time go?
I don't
Um,
know. I still keep seeing that number and thinking there's something wrong there. I don't know. It doesn't compute up here. I don't know.
it is. Well, congratulations, mate. It's always wonderful to talk to you because every time you just give me the best gift, and listening to this album for the last month has been absolutely fantastic.
Hey, this is Rob Wylde for Midnite City. You're listening to The Rock Pit, and this is the second single of our upcoming new album, Bite the Bullet. This one's called When the Summer Ends.
And now for the wild card, the Teenage Casket Company. Let's. I don't know. Like, so many great songs. It's impossible.
Hmm. I don't know. Best friend is my radio. I don't know.
Best friend is my radio, or you only love me when you hate me. I think they're probably
That
my
one, but
two favorites.
shall we go with you only love me when you hate me then?
Yeah, go on. I
Yeah.
like that
All right.
song's just. I'd love a Midnight City version of that.
Yeah, that'd be good, mate. Yeah, that's been mentioned. That's been
It
mentioned.
would
A
work.
few of
It would
those
work.
songs. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like I don't really want to go back, but they would. Some of those songs would definitely work.
I
But
think that one would actually translate really well.
yeah,
I
I
could
do.
just picture it. Like I would probably dream about that tonight now.
You never know. Maybe album six, we might bring it out.
Japanese
But
bonus track.
there you go. There you go. That'll work. Yeah. Hi guys, this is Rob Wylde from Teenage Casket Company. You're listening to the Rock Pit, and we're gonna. Sorry, I'll do that again. We're gonna play. Hi guys, this is Rob Wylde from Teenage Casket Company, and this is a old fucking hell. Sorry, mate.
Well, I'll tell you a nice Freely story after this.
Right. It's so easy to do. I think it's the fact that we were talking about Teenage Casket Company is kind of like it's
Yeah.
we should have changed our name years ago because it's a bit of a tongue twister. Right. Hi guys, this is Rob Wylde from Teenage Casket Company, and you're listening to the Rock Pit. Here's our song, You Only Love Me When You Hate Me.
Fantastic. Now, you
Brilliant.
messed up a couple of times there, but the world record holder for messing up a song intro on the Rock Pit, Ace Frehley, 17 takes.
17 takes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And
Oh,
and in the end, he just couldn't get the Rock Pit. He like came out with about 17 different things. And in the end, we just said, just say, hey, Ace, just say Rock. And he said Rock, just say Pit. And then we just stitched it together. And,
oh, amazing. Amazing, mate. I love
and
it.
that's how it
Oh,
ended.
classic Ace story. Brilliant.
Thank you so much for your time, mate. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Let's hope we do get to see you sooner than later down under.
Always great to speak to you, mate. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you like the album.
Yeah.
You're welcome, buddy. See you
Bye.
soon, mate. Bye bye.